And
Hey, welcome back.
good morning.
Good morning.
So, James, good to see you again.
Good to see you. I don't have a coffee here. I just have a bottle of tequila behind me.
Well, this is a coffee cup, right? You don't know what's in there, right?
No, I'm assuming it's
It's a
I'm
coffee
assuming
cup.
it's not coffee.
Well, it's liquid, and I might put some coffee later. All right, so
Well, we
great.
have a good show today. We're going to talk about terroir. We're going to talk about thermometers. Everybody's using a lot of thermometers these days. We're going to talk about thermometers in the kitchen, though. We're going to talk about food trends, and we're going to talk about one of the most glorious foods in the world, prosciutto. Yes. So first, a student once asked, "What the heck is terroir? Why do people talk
Right.
about terroir?
And why is it so important?
And why is it so important?"
Right.
Terroir is a term that comes from the world of French wines. It's the qualitative influence of the land, the soil, the climate, the topography, everything involved in growing the grapes affects how those grapes become. In other words, you can take the same Cabernet Sauvignon grape and grow it in different vineyards, even within the same sort of area, but you grow them in different vineyards and you're going to get a different wine.
Right.
Now that term has in more recent years has started to be applied to various foods, especially cheese. You hear it a lot in the cheese world. And this is especially true with real farmstead cheeses, where the animals are where all the cheese is made from the milk from the same herd. If this herd is out eating, for example, in the south of France, if the goats are out eating all kinds of wildflowers and herbs on the
Right, like
hillside,
rosemary and sage.
that's going to express itself in the cheese.
Exactly.
And it's a wonderful thing. Now, of course, no matter what the animals are eating, if you're taking all this milk and blending it together at a co-op and making a pasteurized cheese, that's all going to go out the window. But we're talking about farmstead cheeses, artisanal cheeses. It shows up a lot.
Shahab.
Shahab.
Oh, man, long
Shalom.
time. Good to see you, my friend. Yes, you look good too. I had to say that.
I think he was talking to me.
Right. Yeah, who are you talking to?
So why is terroir important?
So, James, what is the terroir means? What's terroir?
You tell me.
Okay, so terroir is actually from terre, earth, like the ground.
Right, it refers to the land.
So terroir is really about the quality of the ground. And I'm going to give you a quick example. For example, I'm going to give you an example. For example, you like that?
Yeah. Give me an example.
A very big example. When we build menus for people that have any type of disease, cancer, or whatever, we have to refer, in the nutrition list, as you take those nutrients from the FDA. They have all these sources, and you have to put those into a calculation of nutrients. The problem with that is it's super vague, and I know that because, for example, in the same field, for example, a tomato has that much amount of vitamin C and lycopene. It's this is impossible to have all the tomatoes with the same amount of vitamin C and lycopene and vitamin A and stuff like that. And it's even closer in that field. Let's say I have a field. Tomatoes are grown here. Same type of tomatoes are grown on the other side of the hill. Well, those tomatoes are going to be different. You see, so already I can't really, so the terroir is really important because the terroir will tell you if it's exposed to the sun, exposed to wind, coldness, more wet, more gravel, more sand. That's terroir is really, there's a much deeper meaning to that. So when you look at food, wine, food, whatever, it all depends where that was grown, and that will have different nutrients. So that's why it's very difficult to do. When I see those labeling, those nutrient label in back of recipes, or I'm like, oh my God, how do you even?
Right. Well, I
Anyway,
suppose
so
we're
that's my
taking
thing on
an
terroir,
average, but
guys.
still. You see it a lot on French wine labels, especially wines
Yeah,
from Provence
important.
and various places where they will have names of the vineyards on the label. So in
Yeah,
other words,
yeah,
this is all wine from one chateau, but this particular wine is from a vineyard that's on the hill that gets a
right.
lot of sun,
Yeah,
and they'll name it because
yeah.
they'll isolate those grapes and they'll make wine just from those grapes, and it will be
Right.
noticeably better than the other wines. It'll have
Exactly,
more
because
depth, more flavor.
it all depends where they're grown. Exactly, they could be in downhill, uphill. It could be sand, gravel, water. Lots of water can come. If it's sandy or very, very dense, the water comes very rarely. So many different factors.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah,
It's very cool.
it's how about we say super cool?
Super cool.
That's what we say in France a lot.
Yeah. Is that a French term, super cool?
Yes,
I hear French people say that all the time.
French people say a lot of things all the time.
Yeah, they talk a lot.
Yeah.
Well, another question that has come up from students.
So terroir, yes, very important.
Terroir,
Really
yes.
important.
Answers yes. Positive.
So I just want to finish your thought when you were talking about Cabernet Sauvignon. A same Cabernet Sauvignon from two different places, even if it's the same grape raised by the same person, could have a complete different flavor.
Yes, yes. So
Good.
students asked, do you, and I assume they mean you or us or chefs in general, do you use a thermometer in the kitchen? And how important are they?
I have a fever. I'll use it. Actually, you know what? I don't even use thermometers. I use my hand.
For your head. What
My
about your
head.
food? What if you're cooking food?
All right. So I don't use thermometers myself because I know kind of what it looks like. And also the thing is I buy really good food, so I don't worry if it's undercooked, especially red meat. But if you are interested in cooking the meat specifically, because that's what thermometers are for, and some baking, but you don't really need that, it's pretty good, I guess. Once you start cooking regularly, you don't use thermometers. Thermometers is for the kitchen, the big kitchen, when they have to make sure the temperature is equal. For example, in catering, you need those thermometers because you need to make sure that the food is kept at a certain temperature, which has nothing to do with cooking at home, right? This is a different process. Okay.
Well, there's two thermometer. I mean, besides the oven thermometer, which is very handy to know what your oven is set at. We use two thermometers in our house.
Right.
This one, an instant read thermometer, is the most common, especially if you're doing something like a roast or roasting a chicken or something where you just want to do a quick check. You have to be careful.
You can use this thing too. That's a cable. Can you see that?
Yeah, there's electronic ones. This is just a regular old. And then the other one that we have, we don't use a lot, but it's very handy if you do candy, and that's a candy thermometer. And this, of course, has the gradations go much, much higher. It goes up to.
This is for frying also.
Right. Goes up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and 200 and some degrees Celsius. Who was that Celsius guy?
These guys are great when you do big piece, like a roast. Those are great because you don't have to worry about it. Like leg of lamb or anything like this. You just put your inside temperature in there, put that thing in there, put whatever 160, 140.
Excuse me, I'm taking my temperature.
I know. You have to light it at the end.
So I think thermometers are useful for home cooks.
Yeah, they're useful. I mean,
I don't use it if I'm cooking a steak because you can feel the steak, you can sense. And like you said, if you're using really good meat, who cares if it's underdone? I like my steak pink in the middle.
Me too.
I like it to be rare.
Like entirely red, not even. No. So thermometers, when you roast, when you bake in an oven, you need to make sure your thermometer is correct. It's not a huge deal, but you need to know if you're off and how much you're off. Are you above or under? Means is your oven give you the right temperature? I was going to show you, I can't find it, but you have those little thermometers that you buy that $7 or $6, and you put them in your oven and they live there.
Right.
And you experiment with your oven. You go at 350, 375, 425, 450, and every time you want to see that thermometer you put in
Yeah.
is the same amount, the same as your oven thermometers. And now you know if you're off or not. Most ovens are off few degrees. Most ovens.
Sure.
This is not a problem at all. You just remember to put 10 more degrees or remove 5 or whatever.
Right.
So if your oven is too hot compared to what your oven tells you, just reduce it.
Right.
I'm going to give you really good tips on how to check for leaks in the oven. Leaks in the oven is very common. It could happen for many, many reasons. It could happen when there's a little gap, there's a hole. So basically what happens when there's a hole or a piece of ceramic, for example, that's broken, that fell in the back of the bag, it will pull the temperature, it will pull the air. So there's going to be a direction. So if I have a leak on my left corner, it's going to be harder because a lot of the temperature is going this way to try to escape. So all you need to do is not a big deal. If you see you have a leak or a corner gets hotter, you just switch your trays every 10 minutes. If you have a 20 minutes cooking, put that oven in that tray in there, and then in 10 minutes you just switch it around. That's no big deal. Okay.
Right.
Not a big deal at all.
Well, yeah, I don't use a thermometer for everything, but sometimes they're handy. The trouble with oven thermometers, we have one that is magnetized and it's on the inside of the oven door, but you got to replace it every so often because they get black. They just get colored with the heat. So after a while, I can't even read them anymore. So I get another one. They're cheap.
You want to get one that suspend, that you put there's a little hook you put in your oven, you leave it in there forever.
Yeah. There's also the kind that you can put, there's a thermometer inside and then a wire that comes out and you've got a little digital readout on the outside, but I've never been successful with those.
That's the one I just showed you.
Right, but the door doesn't close all the way then if you have a wire.
Yeah, it does. Of course it does. No,
really?
Wire is really thin.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's on purpose. My oven, I got some Wolf oven just before it closed. Nice job. We have a hole in the oven to put that thing in.
Oh.
It's really cool.
Doesn't that leak? Doesn't that cause a leak?
No. Right. You guys can laugh. It's okay.
Yeah. I'm not laughing with you. I'm laughing at you.
Right.
So,
thermometers, I don't know.
Thermometers.
Only this guy. Only the one with the cable. If you're doing roast, like the big thing, this is what you need. They're not expensive. Get one of those, and that's fine. But don't get anything else. You don't need to. Unless you're fine. Yeah. Yes.
Another student asks, what food trends are you really tired of? I think I'm tired of questions that end in a preposition.
What does it mean?
It means it ends in of.
Oh.
It's a grammar joke. It's an English grammar joke.
Oh. Don't do that, man.
I'm tired of any trend that tends to demonize other foods. Like people say,
exactly.
Diets become like religion. People say this is the one true diet you have to follow, and all the others are bogus. This is the diet you have to follow. Meat is evil. This is evil. That's evil. Fat is, we should all just be eating real food and relax and enjoy ourselves.
So for the food trend for me, sorry, I'm looking for something at the same time, but the food trend I'm really, that ticks me off is, just like you said, if diet or what did you just say? You said the right thing.
Yeah, it's just people that claim a diet is the be all and the end all, that it's a panacea of health,
Right. So what I want to point out is, for example, low fat, that's terrible. Very bad idea. Low salt, very bad idea. Anything that's too specialized is too stressful. That's the thing also is, they talk about the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet is mostly successful because we eat with our families. We relax. We eat fresh food that is really healthy. So those are the elements. not the fact that we are eating. I don't even know what we need a lot of olive oil. We don't eat meat. That's not true. We eat meat. We don't eat tons of meat, but we do eat meat. But we eat a lot of vegetables that are extremely fresh, and we eat a lot of herbs and garlic and onion again. And we
Right.
spend time with our families. We sit down and we slow down.
Right.
And it is very important. This is how you get healthy. It is, the food itself is a part, but it's the whole thing. And moving a lot, a lot. You need to
Yeah.
move all the time. That's the thing, man.
As a journalist, I went to a lot of conferences that had to do with the Mediterranean diet and how great it was. And I believe in it. It's a great way to live. It's a pretty well balanced diet, and it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's like no big
But
deal.
one of the things that I always brought up in these things is because originally the whole thing was based on studies that were done in the early 60s of these farmers in Crete, and
Yeah.
how they had just an incredibly low incidence of heart disease and cancer. And so they looked at their diet and they said, well, they eat seafood, they eat a lot of grain, and they eat a lot of vegetables, and they eat a lot of olive oil. Olive oil is their fat
I
of
know.
choice. So
Olive oil is great. Huh?
ergo, olive oil must be the secret magic bullet. And I
Yeah,
kept saying, well, all of that's true, but you also have to look at the lifestyle of these guys. There was
exactly.
extremely low stress.
Right.
They were outdoors a lot. They were active.
Lots of sun. There's not many ways to get vitamin D3. There's not a lot of ways. There's
And
that
like
and
you said,
seafood. That's it.
these guys belong to a culture where when it was mealtime in the middle of the day, everybody stopped and they all sat down and they ate and they talked and they laughed and they
Right.
drank wine. And
So in the weekends, on my family, we had a farm in Rochebrune in a very small area. There was no water, no fire. We had to go all the way up this mountain. Everybody would come to see us. And in the summer, we were there for like 2.5 months. And my family would come every weekend. We have a huge family. You can only imagine. All the cousins, all the aunts, everybody would come. And the women would cook. Right. We're still in the same, my family, most of them are from North Africa. But they were cooking a lot. And the thing is, we would sit down for lunch, for example, at, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2. But from the moment we sit down, we're not going to get up the table until 9 p.m. So we sit here, we do our lunch. And as we finish lunch, about 4 or 5 p.m., we have to go for a big walk, all of us, while the dinner is being made. Because that's the whole point. We haven't seen each other for a long time, and every weekend they would come out, or some people they stay the whole week. But in this house, we had always something like at least 15 to 25 people all the time at one point inside. There was no water, no electricity. It was an old farm, completely like it was really cool. And
that sounds wonderful.
we'd get the
It's
water
still
from the
true.
village. We had a source on the top. We had to go get the water every day. Washing was not a good thing. Super cold. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's still true in countries like France today. If you go to even very expensive restaurants, they
Yeah.
do not expect you to be out of there in less than 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
They don't try to turn tables like we do. Oh, we need to get you in and out of here. And you don't go to a French restaurant and say, I need to eat quickly and be gone. It's
You can for lunch, but that's it.
yeah, if
No,
you're
food.
lunch in a working neighborhood, it's quicker. But you go to a restaurant and it's very paced. There's a lot of courses, but they're small and there's time in between. And you sit there for a long time, and it's all about the experience. It's all
Yeah.
about the exchange and the
So to resume, food is not a culture. It's not a religion. It's a necessity. You need food, but you need your friends. You need your family. You need to exercise, and exercise. You need to move, like a lot. I don't know. People are just, in the old days, we used to travel how many miles to go get our food every day. That we don't do that anymore. We need to walk. We need to walk, 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 walk. Move, move, move. When you eat, you move. Okay. And the food trends: low fat, low salt, anything low, terrible. Eat real food. That's it. So You have your own definition of real food. That's fine. Real food is basically made from nature, not fake food. It is food that is unprocessed, whole food. All of it is good. And actually, we're going to talk about something else after that kind of goes
Yeah.
into that category, right?
And don't eat anything bigger than your head. Someone told me that once. I think
No,
that's a good.
you have to. No, no. This is a very funny thing, actually. Do you know why? You know that animal they eat the fruits that they can actually. How do you say? Uh,
Oh, yeah.
so an avocado is the maximum fruit that they can eat. You know what? So it's very interesting because they have to figure out that thing needs to go in the other way after that. So they can only eat the stuff that they can put out.
Anything that fits out the other end. Yes.
So first of all, they have to feed it on the other hand first, see if it fits, and then they can eat it. Yeah. So yes, avocado is pretty big.
Yeah. Well, we
All
take
right.
ours out of the skin when we eat it here.
Huh?
We often mash it up and we combine it with salt, a little lime, some cilantro, and a margarita.
Yeah, and you can actually eat the seed. You can blend it. It's really lots of good stuff in there.
Yeah.
The avocado seed has a lot of stuff in there.
So does the margarita.
Right. And ice. All right. So
Also, we make our own chips. People forget how easy that is to do. If you have corn tortillas, it's so
yeah.
easy to make tortilla chips. They're so simple and they're so much better when you make them fresh. The flavor is
Ooh.
amazing.
We have a question from my friend Shahab. What's your thought on the keto diet? Well, the keto is a really good diet for a lot of people. The only problem I have it's a little too strict. I don't like diets in general. So I would say I eat keto roughly. I don't know. I don't eat starch too much. I eat 2, 3 times a week, some starch, lentils, whatever, maybe some rice, bread a little bit. I like meat and vegetables. Keto is a little bit too anything that's constrained is a problem. You need to eat a little bit of everything and not too much starch. So no sugar. First of all, no sugar. If you eat really good food and you balance your diet during the day and you don't eat too much of it, you don't have to worry about it. My biggest thing is when to eat. This is what people are not understanding. The time of day you eat and what you eat during that time. For example, there's so much stuff that the body can process. At night, it's a whole different ballgame. So if you eat something heavy at night, it's gonna have a very, very different incidence than if you eat the same exact meal during the day or in the morning. Like
That's right.
completely different. So there's no rule. Keto is a pretty good diet in general. I think on the keto, I would include way more vegetables and a lot of salad with it and a little carbs because the carbs cannot be bad. If you eat a lot of everything, you're fine. It's when you have an issue to solve. I'm sorry, when you have an issue to solve, then you need to maybe keto for a while until you get your body in check, and then you can go back to a little bit of a more general diet. That's what I think.
I've just never had the patience to adhere to a specific
Right.
regime of a diet. It's just, I don't want to have to think about it that much. I
But
eat what I like.
it's a healthy diet. It's just a little bit too constrained after a while. I think it's good to do it a little bit and then let go and then do it again. But this is a personal thing, and I've never had a diet on me. I eat whatever I want. I'm almost 60 years old next year or in a year from now. I've never got sick so far. I don't get sick. I get maybe a little cold 2 days a year. And I eat a little bit of everything, but nothing fake. I eat nothing fake, like nothing. Nothing that come with a picture, I eat. I'm serious.
Yeah,
I don't care. Like, no.
I don't get sick very often either. Just a little mental illness, and but I don't mind that so much. I've learned to live with it.
And maybe alcohol. That is a problem. Too much alcohol is a problem. So a little bit good. Actually, a little bit is actually healthy. Too much is really not a good thing. So, all right. I know you want to talk about something really cool, James, that a lot of controversy is the...
Well, we have a question that is prosciutto really just raw pork, and is it safe to eat? And I'd like to know who asked this question, because I just give them a thump upside the head. 50 million Italians can't be wrong. They've been curing meats like this for thousands of years throughout pretty much all the pork raising regions of the world. Prosciutto is just one type of ham, and it's just one type of cured meat. But prosciutto is it raw? Yes and no.
It's not raw. I mean,
it's not cooked,
right,
but it's cured. And the way they make prosciutto is very simple. They take the leg of it. Prosciutto ham is made from the hind leg of a mature hog. They take the leg, and the first thing they do is they wash it, and then they bury it in salt. They just bury it in salt for several hours, couple of days sometimes. And then at that point, they take it out. They wash all this. They rub all the salt off. And then they hang it up somewhere where there are breezes coming in, lots of fresh air, but usually nowadays very temperature and climate controlled. And it hangs there for months, even years, to cure. And what the salt does, it does two things. One is it draws moisture out from the surface to moisture that can breed bacteria. And it keeps bacteria at bay while the ham is still in its completely raw state.
Right.
And then, of course, it also adds flavor. So there's some protection now. Once the salt, just like cheese making, the salt has drawn off the moisture from the surface, so it's almost created like a crust to protect the ham. And then you hang it up, and then the air just does everything else. So as it hangs, it dries, it loses a lot of its weight, because it's losing moisture, and the bacteria work on the meat and transform it into something delicious that is no longer raw. Right. It's true, it's not cooked, but it's cured. It has been transformed from a raw meat into this lovely, marble, delicious, silky, buttery ham. And it's one of the great foods on earth. Now, there are other great hams in Europe too. There's several different kinds of prosciutto.
Right.
Spain makes great ham. France, like I said, pretty much anywhere that raises pork does some sort of cured meats.
Well, the Spanish is the jamón serrano. So
jamón serrano, jamón ibérico, and then in France it's called jambon. You probably didn't know that.
Jambon. Just call me.
It's very safe to eat. It's highly nutritious. All these hams, as long as they're responsibly made, they are highly nutritious. There's all kinds of regulations. There's a consortium for all the different types of hams that govern how the animals are raised, how they're slaughtered, how the meat is made. It's highly regulated. It's very safe. It's not only delicious, but it's nutritious.
So
I've said it.
The biggest concern that people have is about what they saw about the nitrosamine or nitrate or nitrate. They don't understand the whole nitrate thing, and it's kind of bothering because anyway, the way it works is this: most vegetables or really good vegetables have a lot of nitrates, which we like them. Something like carrots and beets. Beets is very high in nitrates. Nitrate convert in nitrate when you eat them in your mouth directly. This is where it may become a problem in a small dosage. Those nitrates, when they're cooked or when they mix with the meat, they can become nitrosamine, which is basically an amine. The problem is some studies show that it might be cancer causing, but even though there's not really any determination because it's multifactorial. So you can't say one thing goes for, okay? But one thing they don't understand, meat, food vibrates. Raw fruits, they vibrate very high. as they lose their life. We were talking yesterday about the breathing, and that's what's happening. The vegetables breathe. Anything vibrates. Everything has energy. It's just the way it is. So a ham that is very well made is going to have a really good energy. When you eat it, it transfers that energy. This is how food works. Not just the nutrients in there, but the whole energy. That's why I like my salt whole. An old prosciutto well made is a beautiful product. You can't eat too much of it because there's a lot of sodium, but I don't have any issues with sodium, so I don't have to worry about it, especially when you eat prosciutto once in a while. You don't eat that every day. I mean, I don't think it would be bad every day, but I mean, that's really too much. It's too much salt, too much nitrosamine, probably, yes.
I
But
took a
when you
trip
eat,
to a couple of years ago. I was in the Parma area throughout the Veneto and
right,
Modena, and I ate prosciutto every single
yeah,
day.
it's not,
But
it's
I don't do that all year long, and I'm not even sure it's bad if you do, as long as you're not
no,
eating tons of it.
right. And also, you have to understand that if you eat vitamin C with it, it literally do not create that nitrosamine. So that's
Drinking
why they
wine
put
is
vitamin C in
good
there.
too.
And that's why you eat, again, the same thing we say all the time. Eat vegetables with your food, fresh vegetables, eat garlic and onion, and you don't have to worry about anything in life. Just if you keep doing that, you're gonna be fine with anything you eat, because this is how we eat. We have all these fresh vegetables and food that are absolutely incredible. They bring so many nutrients and protection. Next to that, you can eat whatever you want as long as it's quality. That's all. Quality. Just remember that. That's the only.
So listen, we're out of time today, but
Yep.
I think we should talk more about cured meats. We'll talk about
Yep.
salume,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
we'll talk about that another day because it's
Let's
very
talk about
interesting.
let's talk about pâtés and why is it so important to eat pâté and liver and all these
Great.
offals.
I just wrote
Okay.
an article about pate, so I'm an expert. But that's all the time we have today.
All right. Very good, people. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
What's today?
Everybody
What's today?
be safe.
What's today?
Don't be afraid of your kitchen.
What's today, James?
Today is Thursday.
Okay, so we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, we will see you tomorrow.
Great. All right, people. Very good. And thanks, Shahab.
Bientôt.
So talk to you soon.